The Arabs also went to fight against the Israelis, and they lost. Saudi, Jordan, Iraq, I believe Syria, and Egypt. All these Muslim Arab countries, and they lost. They lost against the Israelis because they didn't get together. They didn't get together to establish Allah's deen. They didn't fight them for the sake of Allah. They fought them for Arab nationalism. And them small little Jews, them small numbers of Jews in Israel beat the Arabs in this war. They beat them. Matter of fact, the Jordanians let them know, the Israelis know, they was going to attack them. And the Arabs lost because they didn't fight it for Allah. They fought it for Arab nationalism because Allah only gave them Al-Quds because the Muslim was obeying Kitab and Sunnah. The Muslim were holding on Kitab and Sunnah. And once the Arabs abandoned that by demolishing the Khilafah of Islam with the Kuffar, with the British, this is part of the Nawaqid of Islam. Some of the invalidators of Islam is aligning yourself with the disbelievers to fight against the Muslim. It's part of the invalidators of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliate the Arabs to this day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to this day humiliate the Arabs because the Arab Muslims, they openly went against the book of Allah by helping the British to destroy the Khilafah of Islam. And that's when the Arabs got together to fight against Israelis. They lost because they didn't do what Allah commanded. You're the same ones who destroyed the Khilafah of Islam. You're the same ones who fought against the Ottomans with the British, with the disbelievers. And you didn't replace the Khilafah of Islam with another ruler. You replaced it with Arab states and Arab governments, not Islamic states, Arab national states, either practicing socialism or communism or monarchy. Didn't replace it with a Khalifa. Didn't replace it. And that's when the Arabs you fought against Israelis, they lost, is because you are in open disobedience. Well, Allah is not going to give you victory. And the same thing has to do with Palestine. Palestine will never be freed. Will never be freed. I've been Muslim for over 20 years. Every Ramadan is the same thing. Every Ramadan about Palestine and Israelis is the same thing. I'm 45 years old, inshallah, soon. Right? I've been Muslim for 20 years. They've been fighting before I was even born. They will never have victory in Palestine until the Muslims go back to the state where Allah gave them Palestine. And that's by having a Khilafah of Islam on Kitabillah and the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Racism is a big part of why the Arabs and the Muslims today are in the conditions they are in today. No one wants to talk about that. That's the elephant in the room. That the Muslims are not holding on Kitab and Sunnah. They're following different things, but we don't want to talk about that the Muslims today are racist. They are racist when it comes to the verses in Quran about brotherhood. They do not follow them. They don't follow it in their government. And there's clear evidence for that the Muslims don't follow that. Even in their government, why is there a visa system in the Muslim world? Why is there a visa system in the Muslim world? Why do I need a visa or Muslim need a visa to go to another Muslim country? Why there's the passport system and the visa system? Why if a Muslim goes to another country that he's not from and he live in that country, he doesn't have a nationality there, especially if his children are born in that other country, they don't get the nationality there because the Muslims will practice racism. Racism. It's everywhere. Racism. No one wants to talk about that. It's racism. So when we talk about Palestine, every time you hear about the Israelis killing the Palestinians, I don't want you to look down at the Palestinians. I want you to look at the reality. How did Palestine fall in the hand of the Israelis? It's due to the Arab governments with the British fight against the Khilafah of Islam. This is Ramadan. We're going to stop lying. We're going to start ignoring things and facts. One thing I notice about Muslims, that we know nothing about history. And this is why we keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over again. The same mistakes. Many Muslims don't know that the Muslims lost Spain due to the Arab Muslims were racist towards their Muslim brothers who were not Arabs. And these non-Arab Muslims aligned themselves with the Christians of Spain, and they ran the racist, oppressive Arab Muslims out. Then the Spaniards turned around and ran the non-Arab Muslims out the country. You see what happened when you have division? You see when you have racism? Racism caused division. 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 The racism from the Turks against the Arabs caused division. Caused the Arabs with their racism to align themselves with the British to fight against the Ottoman Empire. Racism caused division. How did the Arabs lose Palestine? Due to the Arabs rebelling against Allah. Rebelling against Allah. Being racist. The Muslims being racist is the reason why they lost power all the way in history. You can find it. Racism. Rejecting Kitab and Sunnah because racism. They put racism forward and not Kitab and Sunnah forward. How did the Ottomans lose Al-Quds? It's because the Arabs aligned themselves with the British in Egypt, in Jazira Arabiya, in Jordan, in Syria, and they fought against the Turks. They fought against the Ottomans because the Arabs didn't want the non-Arabs to rule over them. Then the British and the other colonists, once they helped them destroy the Khilafah of Islam, the British took some of their land. Look at how Allah punished them. This is a punishment from Allah. And Kulu Hisbin, as Allah say, every group is happy with what they have. Every group. Look at these countries. They're all happy. Look at Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia can't do nothing for the Palestinians and people. Dubai, Kuwait can't do nothing for Palestinians. Look at all the money they have. Look at all the dunya Allah gave the peoples in Jazira Arabiya. Look at all the dunya, all the oil money they have. They can't do one thing to stop the Israelis from killing the Palestinians. They can't do nothing. Kulu Hisbin, every group, every sect, every group is happy with what they have. Can't even help the peoples in Palestine because they openly disobey the law, subhanahu wa ta'ala. They openly went against the Kitab and Sunnah. When people ask, what happened? You read Sirah, where is the Khilafah? Where is the Khalifa today? Why is there not a Khalifa today? Because the Muslims demolished it. Look at Palestine. Only way going to solve the issues in Palestine, not by Palestinians leaving, is by the Muslims bringing back the Khilafah of Islam. That's the only way. That's the only way. Bring back the Khilafah of Islam. Some are going to say, but the Muslims got issues. The Muslim are committing shirk. Hey, you're always going to have people who are going to be jahil. You're always going to have a group of people ignorant to certain things. It doesn't give you the excuse not to do what you are obliged to do in Islam. I see the Muslim the other day not fasting. Is that going to cause me not to do what is wajib upon me? Because I see some Muslims not fasting. You got some Muslims doing open sins because Muslims are doing open sins. Does that mean that I don't fulfill my obligations? So we can't talk about all the Muslim world or doing this and the Muslims will fall into that. No, bring back the Khilafah of Islam. Bring back the Khilafah of Islam. Every Ramadan, Palestine, the same thing. Every Ramadan, same issue. Same issue. People make dua. That's all you could do. People could just make dua. Now, bring back the Khilafah of Islam. Bring back Khilafah of Islam. Bring back something that is from the Sunnah. Bring back something that is from the Islam.